Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick Yu, and my topic is going to be artificial intelligence on learning within students. So, first, let me start with the question. If a machine does the thinking for you, are you actually learning anything at all? So, today, artificial intelligence is everywhere in education. Students use tools like ChatGPT, Grammarly, and AI powered homework helpers to complete assignments faster than ever before. And while these tools can be helpful, there's a growing concern that we can't ignore. In fact, in UNESCO 2023 warns that rapid use of generative AI in education can negatively impact students' learning processes if not used responsibly. From my own experience and from what I've seen around me, students are starting to rely on AI not just as a tool, but as a shortcut in school. So, my argument today is this. While artificial intelligence can support learning, relying on it too heavily actually harms students by weakening critical thinking skills and limiting real academic growth. First, let's talk about how AI is being used in education today. AI tools are incredibly common. Students use them to generate essays, solve math problems, summarize readings, and even answer discussion questions. For example, instead of working through a difficult problem, a student might simply paste it into AI tool and copy the solution. Now, to be fair, AI does have its benefits as well. It can explain concepts, provide quick feedback, and help students study more efficiently. For instance, a student struggling with a math concept can ask AI for a step by step explanation and can actually learn from it. But here's the issue, that's not how many students are using it. Instead of using AI to learn, they're using it to avoid learning, and that leads directly to my next point. Over reliance on AI weakens critical thinking skills. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze, question, and solve problems on your own. But when students constantly turn to AI for answers, they skip that entire process. Think about writing an essay. Normally, you would brainstorm ideas, organize your thoughts, and develop an argument. But if AI writes an essay for you, you miss out on practicing those skills completely. A real example of this is when students use AI to summarize books instead of reading them. They may get the main idea of the book, but they don't engage with the text. They don't analyze themes, they don't form their own interpretations. As a result, their understanding stays very shallow of what the book was actually trying to perceive to the reader. Another example is in a problem solving classes like math or science. If a student relies on AI to instantly generate answers, they never learn how to solve the problem themselves. When it comes time for the test where AI isn't available, struggle begins to kick in. Over time, this creates a habit. Instead of thinking through challenges, students learn to depend on shortcuts. This leads to a second major issue. It limits academic growth. Education isn't just about getting the right answer, it's about developing skills, writing, reasoning, researching, and problem solving skills that are all abilities to improve within practice. But if AI is doing the work, those skills don't develop. For example, if a student uses AI to write most of their papers, their writing ability won't improve. They may turn in good assignments, but their actual skill level stays the same or even declines. There are also concerns about academic integrity. When students submit AI generated work as their own, it blurs the lines between learning and cheating. Even if it's not intentional, it still prevents real growth. In the long term, this becomes a bigger problem. Imagine graduating from college without a strong critical thinking or communication skills because AI has been doing most of the work. That could affect job performance, decision making, and overall confidence. So, this brings us to the bigger question, is AI in education ultimately beneficial or harmful? The answer isn't completely one sided. AI can be helpful when used correctly, it can act as a tutor, guide, or even a support system as well. However, when students rely on it too heavily, the negatives start to outweigh the positives. At its core, education is meant to develop independent thinkers, people who could solve problems, analyze information, and make decisions on their own. If AI replaces those processes, then it undermines the entire purpose of learning. So, while AI itself isn't the problem, over reliance on it makes its overall impact more harmful than beneficial. Now, some people might argue that AI simply makes students more efficient. Why spend hours on an assignment when a tool can help you finish it in minutes? That's a fair point, but efficiency isn't the goal of education, growth is. And throughout my life, I feel like I've seen a lot of that personally, just like going through high school and stuff. I mean, even within myself, like a lot of the students around me would be doing an assignment, whether it's a group project, solo assignment, no matter what it may be. It was always like, why would I do this assignment myself? This could take me 3-4+ hours to do it when AI can really just knock it out in a couple minutes. And AI wasn't really relevant earlier in my school days, but then like when I got to high school, it started to become bigger, and bigger, because it's still a fairly new thing, and a lot of people are still trying to learn about it. And so, like I said, that's a fair point. Efficiency isn't the goal of education. Being able to grow your mind, your critical thinking skills, your analyzing skills is the main goal of education. Building knowledge. Others might say AI can enhance learning if used properly, and that is true. But the reality is that many students are not using it as a balanced way. Instead, they're becoming more dependent on it. And what I mean by more dependent on it is they're relying on AI to do their assignments because they don't know exactly how they would live a day-to-day basis, say in a school setting, if it wasn't for AI. And I strongly believe that AI should support your thinking and not replace it. So, to conclude, artificial intelligence is a powerful tool that is changing education in major ways, but like they said in Spider-Man, but with that power comes responsibility. If students rely too heavily on AI, they are definitely going to risk weakening their critical thinking skills, limiting their academic growth, and becoming dependent instead of independent learners. We need to be mindful of how we use these tools because in the end, technology should enhance our minds and not replace our minds. So thank you. My name is Nick Yu, and that is my opinion and that is my speech.